All right, so in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the different types of stories that you can pursue, either for the website or for the show. I'm going to refer to some print stories here, some written stories, but these can apply to the show as well. So these are news stories, these first couple. So a news story, obviously, the purpose of a news story is to just get information out there as quickly as possible. A good news story, the first paragraph is referred to as a lead. I'll talk more about leads in a future video, but every good journalist knows that a news story has to start with a good lead. A lead pretty much covers the who, what, when, where, why of the story, all of the basic facts of the situation in that one first paragraph, just in case you have readers who aren't going to read the whole story. You know that they're getting those facts right up top. News stories are, probably the most basic type of story, the most common type. Beyond that, there are feature stories. A feature story builds on the facts presented in a news story. So this is a story about the swim team. Everybody knows the swim team is competing. Their record, how they're doing in competition, would be in a news story. But the feature story goes beyond that to talk about deeper issues. So this one is about a basketball team. Again, we could look up their stats, but this one's about how they play. So feature stories typically address the how and the why of the situation, going a bit deeper. This one's about how to choose a baby name from a specific person's perspective and going into depth about that person's process. So this is a video story, and feature stories are usually what appear on the show, where we go deeper, interviewing people in depth to see why they do things and how they do things. So next we have opinions and editorials. So opinion pieces fall into a few different categories. This is like a standard opinion piece where there's an actual established opinion, firmly established there in the title, and then the piece is an explication, an investigation, an argument based on that opinion. Beyond that, you can do a review. This is a music review, but reviews, we can do anything about any piece of culture, any place, food, music, movies, anything like that. And we have good examples of them on our website. Pitchfork's a great movie or a music review website. This is an editorial. So an editorial is an opinion that is published on behalf of the entire organization, not a specific author. So it's the editorial board gets together, they decide we have this joint opinion, and we're going to put out that opinion on behalf of our entire organization. And next, there's some in-depth stories. So an in-depth report or an investigative report is sort of a feature, but going several layers deeper. So usually they're published in parts in order to cover a specific issue or story from multiple points of view. So they usually, professionally, sometimes an investigative report can take years or months to put together because you're interviewing and surveying so many people to try to really get to the heart of whatever the issue might be. And usually when published, they're long. And that's because a lot of work, a lot of time has gone into them. And in order to achieve the purpose of really getting to the heart of a particular issue, it requires depth. And that's what you see in these investigative reports. And then finally, some other types of stories. So these are from Pew Research, which is an organization that does stories based on data. So we could do poll stories, doing polls to investigate a certain situation, to gather data and tell the story from a database perspective. And in these stories, you see a lot of charts and graphs that show the numbers behind the situation. So it's less interview-based and more based on gathering data. And we have the ability to do that if we want to. And then other stories, types of stories, obviously like lists are very popular these days because they're easy to read and they're kind of quick hits. This one's sort of a preview of different pieces of music that are available. But we always want to. We don't just want to put a list of things out there. We also want to be able to explain why something is worth paying attention to or listening to. Um, and the AV Club, that they're a culture publication, and this is just some different examples of things that they do: books, movies, music, in list form, but always with thorough explanation. So if we're going to do something like that, we want to explain ourselves. So those are some different types of stories that you can do, but there are other things that you can do. The boundaries of your imagination are really all that limits us. So if you have a good idea, let me know and we'll figure out how to do it.